Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and to another what I eat in a day as a vegan. So for breakfast this day I made a vanilla coconut yogurt porridge. For this I first added 2 cups of coconut milk and 1 cup of rolled oats to a small pan, and I stirred that continuously on a medium heat until most of the milk had evaporated. It looks very dry and clumpy, but bear with me. I then took this M&S coconut pot in the vanilla flavour and I added that in. This is made from coconut cream. It is so nice and thick, and I stirred that through the oats really well. I then added on some strawberries and some blueberries, and I drizzled on some of the Coconut Merchant coconut honey, which is my favourite sweetener, over the top. I'm not really much of a porridge person, but I sometimes really crave it, and this time I fancy doing something a little bit different. With the yogurt mixed in, it makes it so creamy. It's kind of somewhere between like a rice pudding consistency and texture and overnight oats, although of course the oats are cooked. Anyway, it's delicious, and the M&S yogurt is amazing. I've noticed they've started doing a lot more vegan options now, which is awesome. For something around 11 o'clock, I took a chia and flax cracker. I will link to these ones down below. I spread on a good amount of hummus, and then over in my Magimix food processor, I blended together half a cup of green olives, 2 cloves of peeled garlic, a small bunch of fresh parsley, a tablespoon of olive oil, a little squeeze of lemon juice and some salt and black pepper until it formed a chunky olive tapenade paste. I then added some of that on the top of the hummus along with some pine nuts as well. I always have so much fun coming up with new ideas for loaded crackers, breads and toasts. The tapenade is so tasty paired with the hummus. It's all the flavours I just absolutely love together, and it makes for such a great snack. For lunch, I made a Panzanella type salad. So I first roughly chopped up a large beef tomato. I then added that to a bowl and just used my hands to squeeze it to get out some of the juices. I then sliced up a jarred red pepper and added that to the bowl. I then sliced up around a quarter of a deseeded cucumber, added that into, and then finally I sliced up half a red onion and placed that in the bowl as well. I next added in a tablespoon of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and seasoned it with salt and black pepper, and then I just tossed that all together. I then had half a loaf of crusty bread left over, which had gone slightly stale, so it was perfect for this. I tore that into small chunks and then added it into a bowl with the salad mixture as well, and I then just again tossed everything together. I also added in some fresh chopped basil and mixed that in. I added some more basil leaves on the top too, as I wanted to photograph this recipe for my blog, so you can find it over there as well. This is just so quick and easy to make. I always have these type of ingredients in my fridge, and it's a great way to use up any leftover bread. My portion looks gigantic, I think because the bread swells up, but it is essentially just bread and salad together in a dish. It is delicious. I think capers are also usually used in Panzanella salads, but I'm not the biggest fan of capers, but I find adding chopped olives a good alternative because they're salty too. Although I've seen this type of salad done in so many different ways, so you can almost switch things up to make it a bit different each and every time. In the afternoon, I just had a few slices of cantaloupe melon. This is my favourite kind of melon. Not very exciting, but I am just trying to snack on more fruit at the moment instead of pre-made snacks, crisps and other things. And then later on for dinner I made a lentil butternut squash and mushroom lasagna. I first made the butternut bechamel by adding a tablespoon of oil to a large pan, and then I chopped up a butternut squash into cubes and added it into the pan. I next added in 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic granules, a teaspoon of dried parsley, a teaspoon of paprika and a pinch of cayenne pepper. I stirred that to coat the butternut squash cubes and then left it to fry off for a few minutes. I then added in 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, 1/2 cup of raw cashews, a can of coconut milk, seasoned with some salt and black pepper, stirred it all through, brought it up to a boil, then left it to simmer, covered for around 25 minutes. Meanwhile, I finely diced a large white onion, minced 3 cloves of garlic, then chopped up a red pepper and a green pepper, and then half 200 grams of baby butter mushrooms. At this point, the butternut squash was cooked, so I then carefully transferred it over to my blender, and using a ladle, I placed it in a spoonful at a time, and I then blended that up until it was nice and smooth. Back in the same pan, I added in the chopped onion with a little oil and then the garlic. I fried it off until it all became soft before then adding in a teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of dried parsley and half a teaspoon of dried chili flakes. I turned that over for a few minutes before then adding in the peppers and the mushrooms. I cooked everything off for around 15 minutes until the veg was soft. Then I added in a cup of rinsed drained lentils, 1 can of chopped tomatoes, seasoned with salt and black pepper, and I finally tore in some fresh basil leaves and added in a cup of boiling water. I then stirred everything, brought it up to a boil, and then left that to simmer for around 20 minutes until the lentils were cooked. At this point, I then preheated the oven to 180 degrees Celsius, and in a small baking dish, I placed a layer of the lentil mixture first, then a layer of whole wheat lasagna sheets on the top, then a layer of the butternut squash bechamel over the top of that. I then placed on another layer of lasagna sheets and then spooned over the rest of the lentil mixture, added on another layer of lasagna sheets and finished with the rest of the butternut squash bechamel over the top. I then placed that in the oven to cook for around 20 minutes or until the top had lightly browned. Once done, I removed it from the oven and then I served that up between 2 plates. We pretty much had half each. I sprinkled some fresh chopped parsley over the top, and then on the side I just put some fresh rocket and some chopped cucumber. A lot of work goes into this, but it's so worth it. I love making lasagna in so many different ways. You can add all sorts to it. The butternut bechamel is really rich and creamy because of the cashews and the coconut milk, so it makes such a great sauce. The lentils pack in loads of protein, and altogether it's such a great dish. And like most meals, even better the next day. So if you can prep this the day before and then leave it in the fridge overnight, this could also freeze really well. All of the flavours are left to mingle and it tastes incredible the next day, or even a week or 2 later if frozen. Then for dessert, I had one of the new vegan almond magnums. That's right, and these actually come in a classic version as well. As soon as I saw these, I had to try them. Magnums used to be my favourite. I've already gone through 2 boxes of these. This is actually the first time I'd had a magnum in about 3.5 years. To me, it tastes exactly how I remember an almond magnum tasting. Probably one of the best vegan ice creams out there at the moment, and I just think it is so exciting that we're getting options like these now. If you're in the UK and Ireland, I just found these in Tesco. That's it for another day on my plate. As always, all of the recipes will be written up in the description box below for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye!